fucking cool.
Women are so fucking cool.
Welcome back to the episode where we respect, encourage, and celebrate fucking cool women. Yay! I am your host, Joanne Morton, and I'm excited to share one of the earliest fucking cool women that I met through the FCW Society when I was living in New York City. So I am the founder of the FCW Society. And in the early years, we were hosting brunches in various different apartments in Manhattan, Brooklyn. Sometimes we went out to Queens. Don't think we ever made it to Staten Island, but that's another story. But today I'm talking to Marjorie Ocho Kouns. And I met our Marjorie when she came to one of the brunches, which was like, whoa, and she came by herself. She was invited by another FCW, Flash Rosenberg, who I hope to get on this podcast. But she told Marjorie to show up and she came. I'm always inspired by women who come to an FCW Society brunch alone. And it just shows me that they know they will meet women they just didn't know yet. So that's what happened. And she made some great connections and she's an artist. And I will never forget when I went over to her apartment, this really cool apartment in the West Village in a little curvy one-way street. And I wanted to know her for the fact that she was an artist and that she had this cool apartment and she was a fucking cool woman. And over the years that I knew her while we were both living in New York City, she was such a source of inspiration on how to live your life as an artist for myself and for many others, I'm sure. But she made the choice to leave, like so many of us do. Still love it, but sometimes you got to let things go to have it all. And it turns out she is now living in Atlanta, Georgia, the same state that I'm living in. So that was kind of a win-win for me and her, that we could stay connected a little bit easier and we can also continue to support and celebrate each other, which is why I was so grateful that she accepted my invitation to be interviewed for this podcast. So we could have recorded the entire episode that we talked about. It could have been like a 3-hour call, but we limited it just for a few minutes. Well, a few long minutes. I'm babbling now, which is what I do. But I'm going to stop babbling and I'm just going to say, enjoy Marjorie Kouns. She's a fucking cool woman. I am once again very excited and honored to have yet another FCW here to talk with me and to share amazing insights. Today we have Marjorie Ocho Kouns, right? Kouns. I don't have my glasses on, so I'm reading it. But yeah,
I have them on for you.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Marjorie, for coming on. So you're in Atlanta and
Yeah.
I'm in Savannah, so it's nice for Georgia girls right now.
I know.
So I've already told everybody how fucking cool you are. And so they're going to hear now because over the next couple of minutes, we're going to be talking and I have 3 questions that I'm going to ask her. And the first question I'm going to pose is, what is a fucking cool woman?
Besides giving a very, 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 very circuitous answer that we'd be online for another like day and a half, we don't need to really define what a fucking cool woman is because you are one. I am one. Folks, it's an inside job. A fucking cool woman is an inside job about her own power and her own energy and how that's so abundant that she can just be who she is without trying and exemplify that our mottos of respect, encourage, and celebrate effortlessly. That to me is a fucking cool woman. Mic drop.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I'd love for you to expand on a little bit more. Who are some fucking women that you know that exemplify some of the things that you said?
Ooh, I'll filter it because again, I really have like about 17 of them that I could just spew off, but I digress. And I just because we're having this incredible digital dialogue. You already know you are, Joanne. So you've been a major influence to even get me when I was in New York days, and you were there. I had no idea this even existed. And I stumbled upon it through another friend. And I think it was Flash Rosenberg. I think she was there with, yeah, Flash. And I invited me to that. I knew Flash from, who's an incredible artist and amazing, talk about fucking cool woman beyond. Um, it's got some really cool graphics going out right now, by the way.
It does.
She invited me to your brunch. And I think it was the very first brunch that you were having. So it's this embryonic, epic, like, we don't know what we got, but we got something going here. And I remember the criteria that Flash, you had advised all of us, whoever brought you to this meeting, they had to introduce you. Instead of you going, hi, I'm Marjorie Kouns, I'm an artist, I'm a voiceover, I'm an actor, I produce art all over the world, blah, blah, blah. Uh, which is fine. But fucking cool women don't have to do that. When you have someone else that puts you up on a pedestal in their eyes, this is where the power is, I think, of the FCW society. I was like, holy cow, I didn't know that people saw that in me. And that's what got me really intrigued about our conglomeration of world-class women. And so I met, and those folks I'm still in touch with. Flash, Courtney McLean was there, Nancy Anello, Elaine Delahunt, and you. I mean, I remember those five so vividly. And then if I want to go a little bit more social media or external influences, because that was my core. Um, Believe it or not, Muriel Siebert, now this is a test, financial felines. How many know who she is? Crickets. Um, look her up. She was the very first female stockbroker on the exchange and had to use the men's bathrooms because on Wall Street they didn't have anything. So she had to stand up pissing because there was no restrooms for females. And she was a killer woman in a good way. She was just like everyone else. She happened to be a woman in a quote unquote financial non-woman's world, which I digress, but we won't go on that right yet. And so, I was talking about Muriel Siebert and how I love the fact that she just jumped in to basically show how she could take care of herself and others in the financial world that was, the pants nation, which changed, obviously. And believe it or not, I love aspects of Hillary Clinton. Some could argue that she is a fucking cool woman. She was really a fucking cool woman when, in the sort of when we started out. And she kind of wavered. I'm going to be very transparent. But at core, she is a fucking cool woman and had to ride the seesaw of society and lived with it. That's a fucking cool woman that can live with the society of syntax and cynicism. Triple S. And then if I go into the art world, because I am an artist at heart, two artists that strike me, well, really three. Joan Mitchell, who's an incredible abstract artist. I love her, cigarettes and all. And Georgia O'Keeffe, who happened to be a Kappa Delta. She would never want you to say that. I was a Kappa Delta in college. But she urbanized herself and then went into her own out in New Mexico. I mean, yes, and actually there's a show here in Atlanta with a lot of her work. And a recent peer, Cindy Sherman, who I met her at School of Visual Arts when I first moved to New York in last century, in 81 or 70, yeah, 81. And she was speaking at the School of Visual Arts right before she became, the it girl. Talk about this is before selfies, before TikTok, before social media. And she really was the spearhead of that in photographic form. Different looks, different costumes, different energy. What a fucking cool woman. Still is, but had that foresight to be all the personas of what a lot of women are. We all are those kaleidoscopes of who, are special. We're 1 in 44 billion sperm floating around that finally we reached it. That 1 in 44 million got the egg. That's who we are. The odds of that are crazy. There's no one else like you or like me. So that is so fucking cool in and of from statistics. That's my scientific example. But those are the people at core that really had influence. I mean, there's someone right now here in Atlanta, Ann Kramer, who is like amazing woman that knows everybody and anybody here in Atlanta, a philanthropic prowess, worked at IBM forever, one of the CEOs of that company or exec branch, a member of the church I go to at St. Luke's Episcopal, who's headed up by an incredible pastor, Winnie Verghese, who was in New York, an amazing woman. She's a fucking cool woman, and she's a priest. So go figure. But yeah, so those folks, in terms of more of a modern catch up to like where I am in my own front yard, have been what I would say sort of mountaintops of the mountain of women that I'm totally, they know who they are, but I would be discredit to like, spend another hour to go through the list.
No, I feel that, yeah,
Yeah.
it's wonderful to know that there's so many that you
Yeah.
have, like, it's just a huge Rolodex in your mind and in your
I
heart.
mean, the role, and my mom, if you want to get real, it's like, wait a minute, that was, a cellular level.
Yeah.
Here's someone who had an MBA before the MBAs were popular, and worked at the Pentagon,
Oh,
and for Admiral Nimitz, for God's sakes, and just, and then became, a mom, and an incredible businesswoman, but then threw all that aside to raise us as a family,
yeah,
but by choice.
yeah.
So I was like, oh, anyway.
We are pro-choice. It's about
Yeah,
pro-choice.
yeah.
Yes. That's one of the criterias I really, really have to stick with. And I also just want to follow up, we are fucking cool women. We're not fucking perfect,
Oh, thank God. I
and
can't
we
remember, did
have
I
our
answer that third
moments.
part question? I think it
Yeah.
was
Well,
the,
the third one was to bring in, how do you,
oh yeah.
apply?
Yeah. I could fast forward to now because when I met you all in the FCW version 2, because I know you started this in Chicago embryonically, or
Yeah.
that when I moved to Atlanta, and I think you had just moved to Savannah area about a year or two prior, and I said, "Oh, our whole world is splitting apart." I said, "No, we're expanding. We're like the spider web or the tentacles." And what strikes me as how to exemplify our core values is, yes, I'm still an artist. I still find ways to express the inner outwardly, as best I can, because it's tricky with your externally approval based, and you get out of that enigma, which is rampant. Um, that when I took on, I also work as a 911 dispatcher for the City of Police, Atlanta Police Department. How did an artist end up in that? Um, Service. And I'm very good at languages, and I wanted, and economic. I said, yeah, these bills just don't pay themselves. And I'm in a wonderful transition right now, but I said, what can I do that still serves other people, helps, it involves my language knowledge base. Every night is different. Welcome to acting world. And I get paid for it. But that's the lowest of the criteria. And the core values in being a dispatcher is just about our core values are fucking cool woman. It's care, courtesy, and respect every day. Boom. And so with every day, and I would add in with everyone. And no matter who they are, because believe me, we get calls if you only knew. I said, what do you do at 3 in the morning? Why are you awake? Um, and yet those people are calling because they have a need, they have an emergency, and they need to be heard. And it taught me how to really listen a lot more. I'm talking a lot now, and that's about the most I've talked about in a day and a half. That really, this path that I chose to complement what I'm doing has been so parallel because it's given me the opportunity to really listen to others instead of my own blah, 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 in the back of my head. And also hear that if everyone just took a nanosecond longer before they responded to anyone, oh my gosh, you may not need to respond because you're hearing the other person and trying not to edit and say what you're going to say without hearing the other person. Oh my gosh, I'm still learning that to really truly be present. And that's got to come from the inside job. You can't quite learn that. You can textbook it, but until you're either getting a phone call, having this kind of dialogue, it'll come off fake. I mean, I hope this doesn't come off fake. It's like you'll be able, you got eyeballs on this. Whoever's watching or listening, you'll know. So that to me is how I feel in a little bit more of a bigger circle, how I feel I'm a steward of FCW in I won't say the best way, I'd say the best practice that I can right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, that's really fascinating. That's what this, oh my God, I'm gonna cut this part out because it's just amazing the
Yeah.
insight that all these women I've talked to share. It's so amazing.
Well, it just, and quite frankly, Joanne, that at some point, I said, I feel in a way like I sort of disappeared from a lot of my peers in core. I said, no, I was growing and evolving, and everyone that has crossed my path and I, them, there was a time, a reason, season, all that stuff. But it's like, no, if you're with the same people all these years, that could be okay and good. And also to me, it's fabulous that you're cross-pollinating, if you will, and seeing how other people are living somewhere else. You can get kind of stale, even if you're in a place like New York City. I lived there 37 years. And when I look back at it, I really had my toe out the door and one tethered there 10 years before I moved. And I didn't move because I thought I was going to miss something. Well, I was going to miss my own growth. If you don't go, you don't know. And a lot of my friends said, you can't leave. I said, I can leave. You don't want me to leave. And that's okay. But I got to finally figure out, I said, wait, I can't live what you see in me. I have to live how I see myself and feel myself. And I'm still learning that. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, oh,
Oh, we're learning for
yeah,
the rest of our lives. And I think I want to just bring up that's where the word encourage. We have to encourage
yeah,
ourselves and each other to grow and to learn and to know ourselves
yeah. I
because
mean,
that makes you
I would
happy
love to,
anxiety.
yeah. I do want to share with you. I have come up since New York days, and since we even met up. I remember going to Savannah and like going to the ocean. Oh my God, and just spending time with you and your new friends and colleagues, and oh my God. But I do remember even since then, I revised my own like core statements. So one of them was more, I'm going to go with the TikTok version, and then I'll share with you how I've progressed through FCW core principles into what it really is. So if someone goes like, "Hey, what do you do?" I hate that phrase, by the way. So I always tell to people, well, "Who are you when you're not standing here talking to me?" It throws people off, but it's like, "Who are you when we're not having this conversation?" So a lot of times I tell people, well, I produce legacy-worthy storytellers who are fueled by art, culture, and technology. And I happen to be one of them. And so that's boom. When someone says, what do you do? I said, I'm a storyteller, whether it's verbal, visual, kinesthetic. But then I said, that's fine. But what got to me, and I'll read this off because it's still changing too, it's in process. So this is more coming from the core and going from the inside job. So I am a lighthouse of kaleidoscopic artistic vision, empowering the inner greatness of legacy-worthy storytellers to be both seen and heard. That's who I really am.
Wow.
Big difference. Big difference. And I use them both when I need to. So, because and that comes from being a fucking cool woman, that you have all these facets of still the same inside job or inner core, your own inner TikTok, if you will. I call it your heart. And that sometimes you deviate or use a different version of yourself because you are every day you're a different person, um, which is fascinating.
So
Um,
fascinating.
yeah, when I go to the 911, I used to work overnights. Now I work in afternoons, and oh, thank God. Um, it's revelatory, but I'm honoring my circadian rhythm. And I, again, to take care of yourself, I was not honoring the power I had, and I was giving away my power to try to do something that wasn't really working. And I was not being of the best value to others when I was depriving myself of keeping myself powered, fueled, well rested, and ready for anything. Don't get me wrong, I was, but it had a price to pay. So, but I see in that when I go in sometimes, I treat that experience like a casting director. It's kind of crazy, but it's not. And I treat my life as a casting director. I walk out the door, who am I going to cast in the movie of my life today? And I'll run into somebody, up, there's my antagonist. Oh, they're pressing all my hot buttons. God damn it. I said, well, where have you done that? So I cast people in movies for 911. They're either going to be in a police movie, fire movie, ambulance movie, they're a diva, or they're you know what. But that way, I get to play, not in a superficial being cute about this, but life is play. Life is not serious. Not living is serious. So I get to play with finding out who's calling, what do they really need? A lot of times they just need to be heard. They say, oh, I don't need the police. No, we figured it out. Okay, bye. Thank you. Oh,
Oh, I love that. I
oh
love
my
it.
God. But that teaches me
Yeah.
how there is such an aching need for all people. It's not that it's something's missing, it's something that's got this open wound that keeps getting the scar picked apart. And we gotta give it time to heal. And we're not.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit more society right now.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So, well, this has been so inspiring and really insightful and enjoy. And I feel like you've given us some really good nuggets about, you know, casting directors. You have that you can cast your own movie. You really can. I love that.
Yeah.
I really do. Any last messaging ideas, things, that you want to share out and then
Oh gosh. No, it's a work in progress. I could say, yeah, take this advice. I don't give advice because I don't want to be wrong and to be blamed. I think to me, a takeaway would be don't, well, that's keep your power at all costs, at all costs. There's no price tag on your power. There's a grave trade-off and price to pay when you give it away. Um, really be super selfish with your inner self, and you can be selfish. In fact, I'm saying that to myself. Ah, hello. Um, yeah, it's not okay. You are a fucking cool, selfish woman. Um, so, um,
I think that's
so I mean, I'll end it by saying that it just resonates to me. It's like, oh my gosh, I can do the acting thing, but I won't. It's like, I am a fucking cool woman.